This is Congressman Frank Pallone. Thank you for joining me on Facebook Live, which we try to do every Friday around noon or so. I want to talk about what went on in Congress since the previous Friday. We actually have not been in session this week because of the Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, but a lot's been going on. I mean, my biggest concern right now is that the healthcare crisis is looming. We have the potential for, at the end of the year, not having the tax credits or subsidies that so many people depend on in order to buy their health insurance through the marketplace or through Obamacare. And we have the looming Medicaid cuts. We have all the controversy and chaos that the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert Kennedy Jr., is creating with vaccines and Tylenol. And I'm just hearing every day about the problem of affordability with health insurance and health care. So I have been saying, as have most of the Democrats, that we have to address this health care crisis. The Republicans, on the other hand, seem determined to simply shut the government down because next week, on October 1st, Wednesday, the government will shut down if the Republicans, who are in charge of everything, the House, the Senate, the Supreme Court, the presidency, don't come up with a spending bill that'll keep it open. And instead of actually working with us, they've done the opposite. President Trump says he doesn't want to meet with the leadership of the House or Senate Democrats. The Speaker has canceled the session for next Monday and Tuesday, which means we wouldn't even be in to try to work something out and avoid a shutdown, which would take place on Wednesday. But I'm going to continue my effort to say that the Republicans must meet with the Democrats and address this healthcare crisis. And it's not just making sure that the tax credits are permanently extended so people can buy their health insurance on the marketplace, but also that they eliminate the Medicaid cuts that are forcing hospitals to close, forcing nursing homes to close, and all the other things that I mentioned today. But we're not hearing that. They just seem determined to shut the government down and don't want to address these healthcare concerns of the average American. But at the same time, they're more than willing to make permanent tax breaks or make the tax breaks permanent for billionaires and large corporations, which they did in their big ugly bill. Now, what I did this week, and some of you may have seen it, is I talked about all this in the context of planting spring bulbs. I'm a gardener, and I love to have nice flowers all year round. We can't obviously have them in the winter unless you're indoors. But if you want to have spring flowers like daffodils, tulips, hyacinths, come March, April, you have to plant the bulbs now. So I did a little video, which you can still see if you want, where I talk about how to plant bulbs and that this is the time to do it. So you have the spring flowers. And then I talked about healthcare in the context of it, because I guess my view is, when we pass federal legislation, we hope it turns into a law that will improve our communities down the road. So it's kind of the same thing with the bulbs. You plant the bulbs, and then you have a bright future in the spring when they come up. Now, let me also talk about FEMA. FEMA is the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and many of us know that is the agency that we rely on if we have a major natural disaster, which in my part of New Jersey, unfortunately, usually means some sort of hurricane or northeaster. There was a report that was issued, actually two things that have come out. There was a report that was issued by the Washington Post that basically said that FEMA's acting administrator, David Richardson, is essentially useless. He's not in the office. He's unreachable. He's been sidelined by the Secretary of Homeland Security. And then the Government Accounting Office issued a report that confirmed what I had suspected, that the FEMA violated federal law 6 times by withholding or delaying funds that were necessary for people in a natural disaster for shelter, right? So this guy's got to go. And the Homeland Security Director, who keeps protecting him has to go. So a bunch of us, I led my colleagues in a letter to President Trump, basically saying that the Secretary of Homeland Security and the acting administrator for FEMA should be fired. And I sincerely believe that. I don't say that lightly. I only say it after several very strong indications that FEMA is not capable of doing its job if we have a natural disaster. Now, fortunately, we're about halfway through hurricane season, but we could have a hurricane. If you remember, Superstorm Sandy actually occurred at the end of October. So we're not there yet. And of course, there are other natural disasters that face other parts of the country. So these people have to be replaced by people that will actually do the job and help us if a disaster is a natural disaster is pending. I also wanted to talk to you briefly about the Environmental Protection Agency and climate change. I don't know how many of you listened to the president when he addressed the United Nations earlier this week, but he clearly said, climate is a hoax. The governments that are trying to address greenhouse gas emissions and reduce greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere that cause the planet to warm are all being fooled by the environmentalists. And of course, this is absurd because there's no question that climate change is happening because we're pumping more and more greenhouse gases into the atmosphere from the burning of fossil fuels, gas, oil. So, look, leaving aside the president's statements on this, which are absurd, frankly, the bottom line is he's carrying out that ideology, that anti-climate ideology, with the EPA. So the basis for our trying to address the climate crisis and limit the greenhouse gases that come from the burning of fossil fuels, particularly from utilities, is what's called the endangerment finding. A few years ago, the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, issued a finding after many public hearings, much research, that said that putting more greenhouse gases into the atmosphere essentially endangers our planet, creates more air pollution, the heating of the planet. And that endangerment finding is the basis now for, or has been for many years now, for the Environmental Protection Agency to take action to limit greenhouse gases. For example, they would limit the amount of gases that can come or how much fossil fuels can be burned by a utility. They would say that we should move towards renewables like solar, like wind power, like geothermal power, or nuclear power instead, because it doesn't none of those release greenhouse gases. Well, the EPA is now repealing that endangerment finding, which would mean there would be no legal basis, if you will, under the law for the EPA to regulate these greenhouse emissions into the atmosphere. It would say that, essentially, it means that you could probably just continue to burn all the oil and gas you want, that you don't have to move towards renewables, which is, of course, what President Trump says. He wants to prioritize coal and oil and gas and all these fossil fuels that spew the greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. So we're going to fight against this. The endangerment finding is real. The science is there. And this notion that this is all a hoax is just, some ideology that Trump has invented along with some of his right-wing cohorts, and it's got to be stopped. On a lighter note, if you will, I wanted to say that Tuesday, September 23rd, was Bruce Springsteen's birthday. And Congressman Rob Menendez, one of my colleagues in the House, introduced a resolution not only commemorating the birthday, but making it National Bruce Springsteen Day, which I and many colleagues from New Jersey and elsewhere joined. And we did a little video where we talked about where we talked about our experience going to Bruce Springsteen concerts and his relevance not only to my district and places like Asbury Park and Long Branch and Freehold, but also to the state. So if you could also watch that, through my social media or on my website as well. if you like, and I wanted to mention it. I enjoyed spending the time talking about Bruce Springsteen and his legacy. The last thing I want to mention before I tell you how you can contact me is U.S. Service Academy Day. I keep mentioning this every week because I do want people to come. On Saturday, October 11th, we have our Service Academy Day. You can read more about it on our website, but it's going to, let's see, the doors open at 10 a.m. and the presentations begin at 10:30. It's at Middlesex College, West Hall, Parkview Room in Edison, as I said, on Saturday, October 11th. We always have representatives from the various service academies, as well as the ROTC programs, as well as people from the Coast Guard as well, because we don't appoint people to the Coast Guard, but they'll be there. And we encourage anybody who's in high school or even college, if you want to come and learn more about how to apply to the service academies and become a officer in the military. Last thing I want to mention before I go is how to contact us. So, we have two offices, one for Middlesex County in New Brunswick, and that office is at 67/69 Church Street or Kilmer Square. Phone number is 732-249-8892. And for Monmouth County, we have an office in Long Branch at 504 Broadway. Phone number there is 732-571-1140. Both offices open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. You can come in person or you can call so that we can help you with whatever concerns you have with the federal government, things like Social Security, Medicare, or if you just want to talk about issues as well. If you want to reach out to me through social media, stay in touch online, number of options. Obviously, Facebook Live every Friday. You can follow me on X, used to be Twitter, at my name, at Frank Pallone, and on Instagram at REP, Frank Pallone. We just were verified on Blue Sky, so if you're there too, you can follow me at pallone.house.gov, G-O-V. And our website is pallone.house.gov, G-O-V. If you want to, you can email me directly on the website by clicking contact and then email Frank, or you can go on the website and subscribe to the e-newsletter, which gives more information. We send one out every Friday. One goes out today, talking more about some of the issues I've discussed now on Facebook or other issues or information relative to Congress. And again, the website is pallone.house.gov, G-O-V. So thank you. Have a good weekend. Join us again if you can on Facebook. This is Congressman Frank Pallone. Thank you.